Hello everyone, my name is Pran and I will be your MC for today. I would like to welcome everyone to the International Renewable Energy Asia Conference 2021 or RE Asia Conference. This year, the conference is coming with a theme, Clean Energy Transitions for Post-COVID Resilience in ASEAN. You are now watching a session number 1, which will be discussed about smart city, technology policy and success cases. These sessions features the information of smart mobility, net zero energy building, battery, digitalization, smart technologies for energy application, energy efficiency and management, and data center energy management. Before we start, I would like to inform you about the platform. First, our microphone and video of attendees is visible for the whole session. If you wish to ask any questions to our speakers, please leave your questions at the Q&A box at the bottom right corner. Second, in case of technical issue or you hope to contact our staff, please send your request on the Help tab at the same location. At last, after the session ends, please give us some feedback by completing the survey at the survey icon at the screen. Without any further delay, I would like to introduce the moderator of these sessions. So these sessions will be conducted by 2 moderators. The first one is Associate Professor Dr. Montri Vibulrat. He is a Big C country chair and professor at King Mongkut Institute Technology Lakrabang Business School. And the second one is Dr. Pipat Chaiviwat Warakun from the Joint Graduate School of Energy and Environment or JGC, King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi. May I now pass the floor to the moderator. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all audience, and we will come to the webinar on parallel session of smart city technology policy and success case. My name is Dr. Pipat Chaiviwat Warakun. I am now work as a lecturer at Energy Division Joint Graduate School of Energy and Environment, King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi. And in this today forum, I and Dr. Montri will be served as your moderator. In this session, we have 6 interesting speakers from different sectors, government agency, leading company from real estate and ICT technology, including academic institute to provide us timely information about the smart city. Our presentation will include about issue of government policy direction, innovation technology, data-driven automation for energy and environmental efficiency building and community, and also smart mobility that will expedite the growth of smart city to meet Thailand carbon neutrality and also to improve human well-being. Experience, success case, and project will be shared to our audience, and we wish that this webinar session can provide fruitful knowledge to our audience. And to move along with our session, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Non, and he is work as a senior expert in smart city promotion at the Digital Economic Promotion Agency of Thailand, or DIPA. His expertise are design thinking and creative process, enterprise digital transformation and innovation process, smart city design, development and planning, business model generation tool and method, organizational, cognitive, and social psychology, architect and urban design for community and social development. And I would like to give the floor to Dr. Non to present the topic on government plan for smart city and development. Please welcome Dr. Non. Thank you.
Hi everybody, good morning everybody. Oh, sorry, good afternoon. It's actually morning time in Dubai where I am. In fact, Dr. Pipat, we have a problem here because my internet bandwidth is crashing, so I need to restart my router in order to get it hooked up again. Would you mind if I pass the floor to Dr. Kandi to do it first?
Yeah. Okay. So I think we will start with Dr. Kandi Leopilot first. Okay, so please let me introduce our speaker. Dr. Kandi Leopilot this time served as Executive Vice President on Foresight and Innovation at Future Tel Lab, Magnolia Quality Development Corporation. Dr. Kandi also served as a board member of the Creative Economic Agency, supervisory board of director of the Electronic Transaction Development Agency, and the director of Business Online Publish Company Limited. At the Future Tel Lab by Magnolia Quality Development Corporation, Dr. Kandi lead a future foresight team to identify the possible future for future solution planning at the corporate level and at the city level. As a strategic futurist by practice, he has formulated and launched the Future Tel Lab to be the forefront of the foresight practice and platform for industrial collaboration. And next, I would like to give the floor to our speaker, Dr. Kandi, to present her topic on the future of city scenario of the Greater Bangkok. Please let's welcome Dr. Kandi Leopilot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pipat. I'm glad to fill in here. And thank you once again, the organizer, for having me. It's a very delight for me to share our research work on future scenario of the Greater Bangkok, and especially what I would like to discuss today is the mega trends that will shape our future. Allow me to share my presentation from here. Okay, it is all up. Here we go. This is the work that we have done, and we adopt the foresight methodology and work with our partner, Arab Foresight and Innovation from Australia for the past year. We've been working online, but not just online, but we also include the stakeholders, the key policy makers in Bangkok, and also the, yes.
Hello.
Yep.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
อ๋อได้ครับครับ
Alright.
ครับเดี๋ยว
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was talking to me. Anyhow, we were looking at and work on the policymakers, the communities, and the key stakeholders around the cities. And we use a foresight methodology where we can use to analyze the future, gather up all the information to inform today's decisions. Here's what we have done. These are the key steps that we have done. We started out with horizon scanning, and what we're going to spend major time today is to understand the mega trends that would shape up our future for the Greater Bangkok. The reason why I look at the Greater Bangkok rather than Bangkok alone, because what we have seen, the development in the past just only few decades before, we see the developments that Thailand actually has transformed from the rural society to over 50% urbanized, and Bangkok has increased its population. Now it has become a metropolis for over 10.5 million people. 10.5 million is official registered in Bangkok in the government database. But the actual one, pre-COVID, people in and out, including tourists and Thai migrants, I think it's rise up and as high as 17 millions a day. So we're talking about the city itself is under the pressure of overutilizing of its resource, and we need to be well planned, and especially this time of the year, this time of the season. So we're talking about who's going to be the candidate of the Bangkok governor. This could be the good starting point for us to discuss about it. So when we look at the way we see for Bangkok, and it could grow as fast, twice in just only 35 years. And that's how we come about our research, what the Greater Bangkok would look like. When we say Greater Bangkok, we talk about 100 up to 150 kilometers from the central of Bangkok, and especially on the eastern side, in the eastern part of Thailand. And that's I'm talking about Bangkok and also the Eastern Economic Corridor, or what we call in short as a EEC area, which we all put a lot of hope that could be, the new S-curve for our country in the next decade. This is what we have done when we look at the future and do the foresight. We talk about the city, yes, but the key idea that we look into is actually the citizen and the people who live in it. So we try to understand, so what is going to be the future persona, what the day in the life, we understand that live, work, learn, play, move, and sustain by taking into account the infrastructures and also the nature and biodiversities. This is just a handful of the steps that we have done for the horizon scanning. If we're going to go on what we actually scan around, what will be the key factors, the trends, and all the signals, we follow the steep V process. S for social, T for technology, E for economy and environment, politics, and also the values of the citizen in the future. With that in mind, on and on of the process, we talked to a number of experts, and a lot of us in this panel also engaged in our process as well. I really appreciate that. We will be able to come up the key megatrends of the Greater Bangkok, and that's how it shaped the future scenario. With no further ado, I would like to introduce you one by one what we see, the trends are coming up, what would be the opportunities, and what could be the challenges that we as a Bangkok citizen or the policymaker have to be well aware and be prepared for that. And that we're going to fit quite nicely when we understand what the smart city should look like. Because in our point of view, smart city should not be because what kind of technology we have, but rather what kind of lifestyle that we want to have in the future. And technology will help us achieve that in such an efficient way. So this is what we see the scenario at the moment. So let's go on to megatrends number one, we call the well-being for all. The reason we look at this because when we look around the key statistics, not just Thailand or Bangkok, but all around the world, air pollution has caused widespread ill health and a quarter of death worldwide. So we're talking about the air pollution has been a killer as many as 13 million people a year. And then we talk about worldwide. And also this is also the issues that Bangkok people, Bangkok citizens and Thai citizens at large are so worried about, because we need to understand the impact. And once we do the quick survey, a lot of the key surveys from key research house point in the same directions. One of them said, 3 out of 5 believes that their health is affected environmental problem. And also we look at how we would like to escape the big city problem and come up with the efficient way to move in and out on a daily basis. So in this megatrends, we see both sides. We understand the challenges and the downside of the air pollutions and the way that we mismanage a lot of things in our cities. This linked to the human and environmental problems in the big cities. However, that very trends also pose opportunities as well, where the pro-environmental and human health values are converging. I'm talking about the trends that not just the local government, not just the business people, but also the way the consumers select their product. They will put the importance of environmental friendly up first. So that could be the trend that would change our cities in the future. Second trends we call the wise nation. If this research based on Bangkok in 2050, I will be in this aging society in this category for sure in the next 30 years. But that's always been what we have been worried about. We understand that for Thailand by 2050, over half of our population will be 60 years old or over. So we're talking about, if we talk about by the old textbook, like economic textbook, we're looking at this going to weaken our GDP growth by 0.75% over the next 30 years. So in that case, we understand that the healthcare costs for older adults will expect it to be much higher than today. We talk about a whole lot of bad news going on in our cities, but that yet again turned out to be opportunity for us to build, the pillar in infrastructure to make sure that the bad news doesn't happen so quickly, or it doesn't have to be all that bad. We understand the challenges of the aging society, but we also do understand the opportunity to lay down the infrastructure where older workers can come back to the economic system, go back to the workforce, because a lot of research also shows with the proper reskill programs, proper lifelong learning programs, the older workers, which is going to be me in the future, likely to outperform their younger colleagues in such a soft skills such as social skill and loyalty. So this can be uplifted by the lifelong learning as well. So we see that it could be a very important turning point for our city to embed this type of thing together, including how we laid out the technology infrastructure. Megatrend number 3, we call data dominance. We understand the rise of Internet of Everything has brought more and more urban systems under control of the data. Sadly, it's likely to come from a handful of the large tech companies. That particular thing posed as, we see the statistics in the past decades that 7 out of top 10 global companies by market cap are the tech companies. And they also make up 7 of the top 10 investors in R&D, and also the area that the sector will spend more than other industries as well. We're talking about the challenges that the few tech giants will control more data and the physical resources. But yet, once again, we also worried about how this tech giant would, rip off the opportunity for the local startups. But this doesn't have to be this way if we know that it's going to end up such a bad scenario. We're talking about why don't we do the data smart cities, and that can enhance the quality and life outcomes. And that we're talking about the law and regulations, or the regulation guideline to be more open for co-development and open innovation for the local startups too. Come to the megatrend number 4, we call platform transparency. We see not just in Thailand, and this once again is the data from around the world, that mass protests grew 11.5% annually from 2009 to 2019 around the world once again. And that partly because things has changed a whole lot of the system has been shifted, and we get the new information comes in and out quicker. We learn the case study across the globe much faster. We are talking about the information on multiple online media channels will raise expectation and also facilitates the scrutiny of the state sector or the government, that what we see as of now today. But that yet again, we talk about, even though the downside could be the deep fake, the fake news that the Thai government has been fighting over. We're talking about the online revelations of ineffective governance and corruption. So that could, put strong push on the protests and civil unrest. But if we use that very same technology to create the opportunities, we're talking about the digital infrastructure that can promote the public education and also engagement in the system where the citizen can get involved and understand the progress, what the local governments are doing and be part of it rather than be the passive receiver of the policy, but rather be the more active person who help drive the policy and who help improve the transparency in the government work as well. Come to mega trend number 5, we call the waste to jobs. It sounds like weird a little bit, but the whole truth is, if we look at the key statistics, by 2025, Thailand is expected to produce 3% or more of the world's mismanaged plastic and has become and will be the world's 6th largest polluter. Not just a pretty news for us at all, but at the same time, that very bad news is something that our peers, people that we have been engaged with our process, been worried about as a number one. But that yet again is also raised opportunities that we can do something better, because this crisis can also bring the new employment opportunities and technology across the circular economy, and that means new job. And Thai government as of now, they also have the BCG area policy where many ministries also take part of it, and circular economy is also part of them. So in this case, yes, if we don't manage anything at all, it will turn out to be the challenge with the high pollution and also damage our natural resources and asset. But at the same time, if we turn these things all around, our very city can create the job for our challenges. And that, again, we can produce new job and the new circular economy as well. So that is also the opportunity. Megatrend number 6 is a health holidays. Pre-COVID, the GDP of Thailand is around 21%, will be centered around tourism. And the strength that we have, even though we have been rely heavily on international tourism, we also has become the country of the leading retirement destination, and also attract tourists that seeking affordable and cutting-edge healthcare. So this ecosystem has round up with the strength that we have internally. With the challenges in other megatrends, I strongly believe that we can also leap up into the health holiday with a high-paid tourism per person per day. And that would also include the opportunity for us to develop the programs and the way forward to develop a higher paid job in so-called, what we call right now, the service industries. We will have to move forward from low or primary service industry to the advanced service industry to capture this opportunity. The last megatrend before we move on to the key scenarios of Bangkok is the village harmony. Actually, I have to admit I'm one of them, in this megatrends, where I know that being online right now, attending the forum, I can just do anywhere. I can be in Bangkok, I can be in my upcountry home, and I can work as the same way or even better, higher productivity than I living in Bangkok. So we call this megatrend as a village harmony, where we have the opportunity of the high-speed rail and aerial transport, low-cost flight and low-cost high-speed trains in the future, that you can commute from Bangkok to the other part within 150 kilometers in just less than an hour. So that is a huge opportunity that we can do that. Yes, we can be part of it, and the city will be scattered out. Doesn't have to be centralized as it was before. So we talk about this. That's why we call the Bangkok not just Bangkok. We call Bangkok and the Greater Bangkok, because it seems like if people can commute day to day, and this is the citizen that we need to look at. So we look at how we live together in the village, far away but not too far, and then bring the new skill to the village. And the positive side is how we can boost up the economy, so-called the village that has been lower economy before, to something that we have a higher skilled people living out there and more demanding consumers in that area. So that helped in terms of development cities as a whole. So these are the mega trends, 7 of them that we have looked through and understand the relationship of all those. From that point, I would like to do a long story short for mega trends, and then we use a lot of methodology to come up with the scenarios, which I would like to recap our presentation from mega trends to scenario right here. For the future Bangkok scenario, we come up with the 5 scenarios together, but let me explain just a little bit here. When we do the analysis, we didn't do by the worst case scenario to the best case scenario, but rather the scenario that might happen everything all the same time in the very different places around the Greater Bangkok. Let's see one by one as of now. Number 1, right here, technotopia. We understand the mega trends of the giant tech coming, have the powerful role in our developments. But that could be the way that we change our life completely. Our 7-year-old grandchildren could go to school right from their bed, rather than have to go to the school bus and go to school every day. So we're talking about the new jobs, the new lifestyle, and we see that Thailand in particular can go back and to be the leader of automation and regional transport. People might raise the eyebrow, how exactly? Dr. Nan especially. My researcher from Australia, our research, we do research together. They pointed out that Thailand has done successfully and beautifully when we transform ourselves from industry 2.0 to 3.0 in around 1970s, 1980s. That was very fast compared to other countries around us. We can use the same mentality, but not the same approach, same mentality to uplift the whole industries and be the leader of automation. One of the predictions, I must say, Thailand could be the top 5 leaders in automation globally. So that is also possible. Move along to scenario number 2, the urban playground. For this one, we talk about people in all ages will pay more attention to health and exercise. And Greater Bangkok in particular will design the public spaces for people to live healthily and safely. So well-being of the city will be promoted and active lifestyle. We use the term playground because as SBVR, we don't want to leave our playground at all. So this is the whole idea to build the active space for everybody across all the ages. Move along to scenario number 3, decentralized resilience. This one, I think a lot of people talks about the tension of drought and flooding have been the key main challenges for Bangkok. Over and over, we have been worried about the sea level rise, and that's this very scenario talks about the central Bangkok will be under the pressure of this, and people will move out outside Bangkok. We're going to have the old Bangkok and we're going to have the new Bangkok, but the old Bangkok, people can't really escape out of it. But new Bangkok, we're talking about the most efficient satellite cities that build resilience since day one. And what I mean by day one, I mean today. We need to build in the policy to make sure the resilience and the sustainability of a living. We can't wait any further. We just have to start today. We're talking about the area of EEC or the popular places in Khao Yai in particular that we need to stress on the waste management, the climate crisis, legal law and regulation, just to make sure that we do not fall in the same trap as what we have seen in the past. The fourth scenario, accelerate generations. We're looking at the way that older people, the aging people, the people older 60 years old, will come back to the job market and help accelerate industries by their experience. So we're talking about the community will get involved in helping design the city to meet the needs of urban development and also to take care of the environment. Last but not least, the fifth scenario we call transforming lifestyle. This is related to the health tourism megatrends, and that has become, Bangkok will be the place that people will come here to spend and feel more healthy, will be, go back to youth and can drive the ecotourism and health tourism even further to the next step. So this is some of the 5 scenarios in the nutshell that I would like to share in this forum. There are a whole lot more that I would like to stress out in the details, but feel free, our publication available for you to download online in our website, futuretaleslab.com. Feel free to do so. We also open for the discussions. Once again, this is a foresight study. We don't mean to be a fortune teller or anything, but it's all about building future together by doing the right policy as of now. And that's I would like to end my present today. Dr. Pipatka, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kandi, for your valuable presentation. And from the presentation, now we already learn about what will happen in the future, the mega trend, and also a future scenario. And actually, we also learned from her presentation in the view of opportunity and also a problem that we have to solve, and how we move to our better life for smart city. And this is a picture from private sector. But for the next speaker, Dr. Non Akrapaser, the senior expert in smart city promotion from Digital Economy Promotion Agency of Thailand, the government sector. He will come to present us about the government plan for smart city development. And from his presentation, we can learn what that the government will support and also drive the smart city to happen for Bangkok and also for Thailand. Let's welcome Dr. Non Akrapaser.
สวัสดีครับ Dr. Pipat, สวัสดีครับ อาจารย์การดี So if you have to go somewhere for some reasons, please, because you already listened to everything that I was about to say from Dr. Gandhi's talks. You know, she already covered everything, and I think I can only add a little bit to what she already laid out so nicely. So again, apologies for having to restart my computer a little bit because I had a problem with the bandwidth, but now it's back again. So even though we are living in the era of 4.0, the idea is that we can be connected anywhere and everywhere for everywhere, but the problem with the bandwidth is still a big problem. So when we talk about infrastructure, this is one of them that we need to be able to have in place before we move to the industry 4.0. So again, my talk today is going to be about Smart City Thailand policy and practice. My role here today is to kind of give you a quick tour de force, a hyperloop, drive into the understandings of how we actually work at the Smart City office. And of course, we're going to have a lot of discussions towards the end. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, put in the comment field, or ask them towards the end. So let's get started. So when we talk about smart cities, one of the first questions we got is that what is it that it has to do with the Thailand 4.0 policy? So if you look at this diagram, you realize is that Thailand 4.0 policy is a policy based kind of top-down mannerism that comes from above. The ideas of Thailand 4.0 is to use digital economy to, first of all, distribute income equally across the board. And secondly, try to make sure that everybody get access to digital economy and technology so that they can be part of the economic activities that would be a result of Thailand 4.0 policy as a whole. But policy itself is useless unless we have an actual area base that come from bottom up. And that's when smart city comes in the equations. And you realize is that smart cities itself, as an idea, as a concept, as an attitude, it's a vast and kind of big terrain to recognize and to interrogate it. That's why the government of Thailand has assigned a Digital Economy Promotion Agency, or DEPA, as you see a logo in the bottom right corner, as the main secretariat of the National Steering Committee for the Smart City Thailand. And the reason for this is because the government of Thailand believes that digital economy is the key to drive the Thailand 4.0, and area base itself has to come from within, from bottom up, and of course, with the support and with the collaboration with the cities who will become the main driving forces of Smart City Thailand as a whole. So in that, now I hope that you get the sense of the rationale why we need smart cities and probably an initiation into the ideas of what we talk about when we talk about smart city. So let me get started a little bit here with the background. So as Smart City Thailand office, for which I work, we have done a lot of research. Of course, we draw a lot of research and outcomes and results from very good works of Future Tales Lab that Dr. Kandi directed as well. And these are also some of the examples that we got from our partner in Singapore. The idea is that smart city has to be something that the governments help and support is true. But the idea is that the government has to do everything for it. That's not. So let's look at some of the examples that results of some of the misunderstandings in terms of conceptualities of how smart city should be. For instance, when we look at places like India, when everything is focused on technology, as Dr. Gandhi mentioned, if you focus too much on optimization technology, you forget that cities are about people. And without people, it wouldn't be anything, just be city for robots. And you have a problems like city in Abu Dhabi, which is actually in UAE where I am right now. You have a problem with the supply side economy. The idea is that you build first and people will come. But with the lack of understanding that people wouldn't come to places that have no sense of belonging, you end up with ghost town, which you see in the top central pictures. Or you have places like Songdo in Korea, one of the most fascinating cities from the technological perspective, which is a livable city but not livable because it was designed with the sensibility that is lacking in terms of humanism. It's more about optimizations. There's closed circuit cameras everywhere. Everything is optimized for the highest efficiencies of people, but people are not robots. We want to live and learn and work and play. All these have to be intertwined, entangled, and of course, seamlessly bring together. And it's not all about optimization and efficiency. Or you have problems like places in Singapore, as you see in the bottom left corner, whereby the business model itself hasn't been validated, hasn't been prototyped. Once you dive into that without the understandings of how it might not work, it ended up not working, as you see in that picture. Or places like San Francisco, whereby you have Silicon Valley next door, you have top universities in the area, you have a lot of tech entrepreneurs, but the obvious questions, the obvious issues that nobody wanted to address, like homelessness, is still there. So you cannot be smart when you're actually leaving 1/3 of your populations on the street with no shelters, with no roof over their head. So that's another thing that we talk about when we talk about smart city. It has to be inclusive and for everybody. And eventually, you have a very interesting case studies of Toronto, where a big company like Sidewalk Labs, which is a subsidiaries of Alphabet and therefore Google, try to reinvent the urban life based on data-drivenness, which failed miserably. Not because data-drivenness didn't work, but because there was no communication with the people. So it ended up with being the project that the people themselves didn't trust the company that would be doing the work of collecting data. Google, Alphabet, 10, 20 years ago might sound like a big company that are doing good deeds, but for the past 10 years, there are a lot of things that Google are not doing correctly in terms of data privacy. So when the company like that trying to invest in the city, people resist, people go against it, and eventually the project fail. So these are 6 examples of why smart cities shouldn't be about pouring money into a project, shouldn't be about letting private companies do it completely. And why is it that government has to get involved? So one of the most important diagrams or pictures that I like, and I still cannot find the authorship of this drawings is on your left here. It speaks to the heart of the problem here. The stakeholders here are the parents. Right? The parents wanted the kids to feel good, so they bought a series of hanging mobile, revolving mobile for kids. So parents look at the mobile from the top, like governments, local governments usually see from that direction, but the kids are seeing it from below, which is not the same perspective as the parents. And this is a mismatch that leads to all the 6 common reasons why smart city fails that I talked to you about earlier. So how do we solve that? Well, this picture will solve them all. Well, we believe, based on our research and development over the past 3 years. Let's start with something that it's pretty basic. Let's start from the very top, which is on the picture, the segment on your left-hand side. A city would have to be the one who wanted to have that cities become smarter, right? So the cities have to gather information, gather needs and demands, understanding its own citizen centricity, understanding the importance of resources that they have, and then put together a smart city proposal, right? And the components of that proposal would be five areas. The city needs to have a vision. Right? The city wanted to be an industrial town for new S curve, or does it want to be a MICE, as in meeting incentive conferences and exhibitions cities, or does it want it to be a city for tourism? Does it have to be a city for education? Once it understands the resources it has, once it understands the needs of the people, the demand that has to be met, then that vision will be crafted. And once you have a vision, you have infrastructure plan for it. If you want to be a city for tourism, you're going to need a new airport. You're going to need a better infrastructure for safetyness for tourists, for instance, right? Well, after that, you need a data platform that would collect, analyze, prioritize, and therefore enable the leaders and stakeholders to make right decisions for themselves and for the people. And after that, you need the solutions. What are the solutions? Well, we divided the solution into 7 domains, which started with environment. Environment at the top, because it doesn't matter if your city is economically viable, if nobody can breathe the air because it's so polluted, nobody wanted to go there. So environment at the top, and then you have energy, mobility, and economy. These are the components that would work seamlessly if you have the protocol for smart environment in place. The economy, the mobility, the energy will work together seamlessly in concert with the smart environment. And then you have a layer where people is important, the smart living and smart people, right? As Dr. Gandhi mentioned, lifelong learning is not an option anymore. It is a must, because we are living longer than ever because of the advent of medical research, a lot of advances in medical sciences. We are living longer. So how do we actually live longer with the sensibility that make us feel as we belong in the place and live in a healthy way? And eventually, at the bottom, even though we don't really see it, it's kind of important, which is smart governance. Because in order to make everything work together, you need a system of governance that enable open innovations, enable new ideas, and of course, enable all the smart digital technologies to work with the people in order to make citizen centricity a domain of smart cityness. And once the proposal gets crafted, DEPA would be the mediator in the middle. We would help incubate, we will help capacity build, we help match with the technological providers in order to make the proposals better. And once the proposals get incubated, get revised, become a robust smart city plan, it would be sent to the Smart City Steering Committee, which is the national committee chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister at the moment. And that would be the committee who approves the smart cities programs and projects, and that will allow that cities to get synchronized efforts from all ministries. We'll get tax incentives from the Board of Investments of BOI. We'll get sandbox for experimenting with new ideas and new innovation, and so on and so forth. Again, this is a work in progress. What you see on the right columns are not set in stone. We are still learning with the spirit of design thinking. What is it that the city needs, so that we can add it to the equation, add it to the incentivization mechanism, and add it to what we think that would be helping cities to advance further. So DEPA serve here in the middle. For policy, as you see a picture from the top, policy, we are the Secretariat of the Smart City Steering Committee of Thailand. We match the demand, which is the cities who wanted to build themselves into a smarter places, and we match them with the supply side, which is a technological provider, academic institutions, external partners, and whoever who are wanting to join forces with us in making the world a better place. And if you look at the picture below, a deeper hub. That is the thematic term that we came up with, is the idea that at the moment you have all these 5 constellations. You have private sector, you have national government, you have local government, the city, you have external partners. They are working. They are not working together at the moment because there's no mediator in the middle who help connected them. So DEPA right now serve as that mediator in the middle, as you see the soccer ball below. And hopefully one day, once DEPA are able to connect them seamlessly, they can actually work together without having to have DEPA always in the middle. So the hubness that DEPA are trying to make ourselves to be can actually be removed from this once we actually create an ecosystem that support the working together of all these segments. So let me move to the 5 essential elements of successful collaborations. As we learned from what I talked to you about earlier, we don't want to repeat the same mistakes that 6 case studies that I mentioned earlier has made. We wanted to do something that is proven to be less risky, and of course might be more effective in the long run because we have looked at the past failures of other places. So the fact that DEPA has been around for 4 years, it's not a disadvantage. It's actually an advantage because we have the chance to learn from a lot of mistakes that a lot of cities have done in the past. So let me start with the first one, citizen centricity. So the idea of smart city, as Ajahn Gandhi mentioned earlier, technology works in the background. I like this depiction, illustration on the right a lot, because if you look at what's going on in the city, the technologies, the robots representing here are actually working to help people have a better life. So the key performance indicator of smart city is not the number of closed circuit cameras. It's not the number of intelligent operations center. It's not the number of robots or drones. It's actually the number of people get admitted to a hospital. If the number is lower, the fewer people get admitted to hospital because they have better life, that is a good KPI for smart city, because technology works in the background to make livelihood and healthy and well-being of people increased. If the people can get home 25 minutes faster because traffic control system works so well, you don't have to see closed circuit camera, you don't have to see traffic light, but it works in the background. If it makes you get home faster so that you can spend time with your family, even watching Netflix with your family, that is a good KPI because it makes your life better, easier, and of course livelier. So that is the first thing first. You shouldn't be mistaking the idea of smart city with the idea of technology. Technology should be there, but it has to serve the purpose of people, livelihood, and livability. The second one is the innovative business model. We are dealing with novel, new problems. So it would not be wise to use the traditional methods to solve new problems. It just sounds irrational to begin with. So we wanted to create a new business model to increase the capacity for cities to enhance and embark and catapult themselves into the smart city domain. For instance, one of them is a public-private partnership, and we add one more P there, which is people. So it starts with people, the need of the people, and the publicness to support that, and the private technology to catapult that, and then the partnership to make everything comes together as ecosystemic thinking for a business model. So for instance, if you wanted to come up with a new model, for instance, solar panels for smart energy, that is a difficult problem to solve because we never have that kinds of technology before. So we need a sandbox. The sandbox needs to be acquired from the government. We need to have some technological providers from the private side. We have to bring in superpower from the private side, because private sides are better at understanding market mechanisms. They're also better at understanding technological advancements. So if the public and private can work together for the people, then you have an innovative business model. The government can give tax incentives to private companies who are doing good things. The private companies can use the new business model to make sure that the procurement processes of the public work with their ability to generate the income in order to balance their operation expenditures or OPEX. All these, if it work together well, we don't have to rely on a sole traditional models anymore. It doesn't have to be the traditional model like renting or selling anymore. It could be something like a long-term procurement processes, or a long-term profit sharing, or even crowdfunding, right? All these things that we needed to more engage more with, because we are dealing with new problems that need new solutions to solve. And lastly, we are living in the age of data. Data is a new goal, but data itself is just crude oil. We cannot do anything with crude oil unless we refine it. So we need a platform to refine the crude oil into valuable data. So in this depiction, as you see from your on your right hand side here, the physical infrastructure below are the one that we wanted to benefit. So that's the cities we're living in, right? Roads, the lighting system, traffic lights, airports, power plants, and so on. Innovations come from above. We have tons of innovators willing to make a lot of innovative applications to solve city problems, but they need something in the middle, so-called a platform. Think of platform as a market. Without a market, we can still buy stuff. You can still buy things that you want, but it will be difficult because you don't know where things are. But once you have a market, you have one place that you can actually shop, collect, and pay for them all. So that is a kind of layer that the government have to create in order to make sure that the benefits of the productivity that come from the innovations above get cascade down all the way to the people below, and the data that collected from below cascade, reverse cascade up to the level of innovation, so that they can come up with even better solutions for the people. So just to close, I just gonna leave you with a few key takeaways. I think these are pretty much the summaries of what we've been trying to do so far. If you watch this video, or if you look at the PowerPoint in conjunction with what Dr. Gandhi mentioned, they will make perfect sense to you. First of all, we have to start with technology. We have to start with we shouldn't start with technology. We have to start with the people. People come first. And again, what people think they want might not be what they need, right? So understanding what people need is different from understanding what people want. So people might want something convenient, something easy, like for instance, they might want fossil fuel vehicles, but that's not good for them because we know the fossil fuels create a lot of air pollution. So maybe what they want is a convenient way of getting to point A to point B. And if that getting to point A to point B doesn't incur a higher cost for their travel, doesn't really make their life harder, actually quite seamless, they pay the same, they also get the same, the better convenience, maybe we can replace fossil fuel with electric vehicles, right? Because what people need is mobility, but what they think they want might be something that they don't know yet. So technology comes in at that moment to solve the problem for the people, and of course for the city, and of course for the nation, of course for the world, because we are living in the same earth. Second of all, we want to focus on the value, not optimization. So I like the picture that you see on your right-hand side a lot. That's a great picture that I use a lot when I give a talk, because as you see, the tube can contain 4 tennis balls. That's value, right? Because you need tennis balls to play tennis. You want to optimize it. You want to put in more balls, right? What you can do is to cut them in half and stack them up. But the problem is those are not tennis balls anymore. Those are just trash. They're just waste because they are optimized, but optimized without value. So when we optimize this, we want to make sure that we optimize for the benefits that people would get, rather than optimize it so that people only get the waste from it and not the value that we wanted to give to them. So these are the first 2 points that are quite important in the mannerism that we think about when we talk about smart city. The other 2 points have to do with the collaborations. So we believe that the facilitation of key stakeholders are critical. As I mentioned earlier, the DEPA Hub, we connect local government, federal government. We also connect academic institutions and research think tanks. We also connect external partners from public and private sectors, and eventually we connect with the private sectors and market economy. So we have to get all these components, all these players on the same table, and to work together for a win-win solution. There shouldn't be a lose-lose, of course. There shouldn't be a lose-win solution. It always has to be win. And the more you can repeat the win, the better it is. So stakeholdership is important, because we need to facilitate them to be, first of all, on the same table, and second of all, to agree on something that in the long term would benefit everybody equally, if not more. And the fourth point have to do with open data-ness. A lot of countries start to realize is that data, once they are siloed, they are useless. But the more you can combine them, you can layerize them, you can collage them, you can make them into digital twins, for instance, it becomes very, very valuable. It's almost like turning crude oil into gasoline. So that's why we need more open data, and open data have to comply with the GDPR and PDPA, which is Private Personal Data Protection Act, because it have to be protected against the bad usage that people with bad intention might be wanting to use them. So open data leads to open innovations almost always. So we want more open data. So if you have data that you can provide by open it up to more people to make use of, please do, because that is the power that we can get together by working together with data at the core. And the last 2 points has to do with leadership and people. So we believe wholeheartedly that leadership is important, but it's not the kind of leadership we think about in the past, which is the kind of leadership that is very good at making decisions. That might be good for traditional cities that are solving just only traditional problems. But now we are working with new problems all the time. So we want a leadership who are willing to learn by doing, almost agile, almost design thinking-ish in the way, the one that always wants to learn, always wants to do things like sandbox, and always wanted to increase the capacity to work together as a team. And lastly, we wanted to think about the localizations of long-term collaborations, because when we hear of the new technology, for instance, from abroad, from America, from Korea, from Japan, for instance, those are good technologies, but they might not work in Thailand. So we wanted to create a partnership, a synergy of local and global companies to work together so that they can begin to think about localizations of the applications and innovations that would eventually cascade down into the working situations in the cities that the cities usually need. So if you want to know more, we also have a handbook courtesy of UK Embassy Bangkok. They put together this handbook for us with our inputs. So you can download them from this website. It's a pretty thick volume, but I can tell you that it is very enjoyable to read. You can get through the whole book within an hour, I believe. Well, I mean, I love to read, so maybe it's a bit faster for me. It's also in Thai version that you can read as well. And this is my last slide. We also have a course that you can take, which is part of our efforts to capacity build our new leaders. It's called the Chief Smart City Officers Program, CSCO. It's already been around for a year now, and we have more than 1,000 graduates from this program already. It's all online. Well, obviously because of COVID-19, we couldn't do it offline. So please feel free to take this course if you're interested in smart city promotions and want to learn more about what we do, because there's a lot to learn in there. There's 5 or 6 lectures in altogether about 7 hours. But I assure you it's great, and you get the certificates too at the end as well. And finally, if you have any questions, any issues, any comments, please feel free to contact us. We are always here to help, and we're always here to learn more from you. Until then, well, stay hungry, stay foolish. I love to say that because I know it's Steve Jobs, but also stay safe and stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the presentation from Dr. Non Akhalap Pasakun. Okay, and now we already learned from his presentation that to develop, to have a real success of smart city development, we have to start from people first. Okay, not start from not the technology. Okay, and also we have to focus on the value also. And for next speaker, I would like to introduce, and okay, I also have to thank Dr. Non for his valuable presentation also. And for if the audience have the question, please feel free to let us know, and we will communicate directly with Dr. Non to get the answer for you. And for the next speaker, we would like to introduce Mr. Trivat Chandraseno. He is the managing Director and System Engineering Director at Cisco company. At this time, he lead both sales team in Thailand and Indochina, as well as team of technology specialists who help design technology solution for enterprise customer across ASEAN. As a team leader, Mr. Tawiwat is passionate in helping to develop his team member to achieve their true potential, and he also passionate in analyzing market transition and provide expert guide to enterprise to successfully navigate through this transition. His current interest is in the area of zero marginal cost economy from the benefit of automation capability of machine learning and artificial intelligence. For today, Mr. Tawiwat will deliver the presentation on the topic of technology for smart city. Please welcome Mr. Tawiwat. Thank you.
สวัสดีครับเดี๋ยวผมแชร์สไลด์นะครับผม ดร.วิพัฒน์ครับผมมีปัญหาเรื่องของ Zoom นิดหน่อยครับแต่ผมต้องจอยเข้ามาใหม่ครับดร.อาจจะต้องขออนุญาตswitch session กับผู้บรรยายท่านต่อไปก่อนได้ไหมครับ
Okay, so I'm not sure that any speaker can be substitute Dr. Kun Tawiwat. If not, maybe we have to wait for Mr. Tawiwat to access our forum again.
ขอโทษทีครับผมเข้าใหม่อีกรอบหนึ่งแล้วนะครับเดี๋ยวผมลองดูว่าผมจะแชร์สกรีนนะครับต้องขอโทษที่ขัดข้องนิดนึง
I think now it's okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Apologize for a little hiccups on Zoom. I think this is the first time that I'm sharing screen on Zoom. Cisco, we always use our own technologies. But I want to start from saying that I could not agree more from what Dr. Gandhi and Dr. Non has said in both messaging and context in recommendations. I think our thinking is very aligned in terms of how do we need to make sure, right? What things that we need to consider to make sure that the smart cities are a success for Thailand. My presentation now focus more on the technologies that enable the smart cities. I also share some of the policies that we've seen that we have done across the world, and also some of the success cases that we have seen. First, I want to start from sharing that we have experience in terms of helping government organizations to develop the smart cities from both green fields as well as brown fields around the world, right? And then this presentation basically came from the direct experience in working with the governments and private entity in each of the countries. So the trends of the needs of smart cities, I think it's quite aligned with what Dr. Gandhi has laid out earlier. Right? As we've seen by 2050, we will see more of people migrating into the urban or the city areas. If we look at the statistics in Thailand today, it's reverse. Outside Bangkok, by the way, right? We will see that only 30% of the people living in the urban area or in the city, 70% of the people living outside the cities. But the trend that we see is going to be more people are migrating into the cities by 2050, right? And that would itself demands many things that the city has to develop. Once we have more and more people in the city, right, then the city has to be smarter, right, in terms of how we make the city sustain the communities and the people in the city itself. How do we make sure that the energy, right, or the resources that we use in the city are optimized and be able to provide consistent experience to all the living people in the city. Public safety will always become key. Right? As more and more people living in the city, we cannot rely on the manual public safety services. It has to be technologies that are coming in to help us make the people feel safe living in the city more and more. And Dr. Gandhi also talking about the shifting in economics of the elderly or aging people in the society. Right? We will also see that in Thailand as well too. As we see that the more and more populations will come from the lower incomes in Thailand, right, for many years to come, and more of the people who has made quite a good living, right, in Thailand, they tend to have less and less children. So that economy will shift in terms of economy, in terms of feeding in Thailand economy will change into larger populations from the foundation. So we need to make sure that we are inclusive, right, in terms of how do we help every people in Thailand to be living better. Technology trends, right? As Dr. Gandhi has laid out some of them as well. It's quite aligned, but this more is a summary slide. We have seen cities around the world that we work with, data analytics become key trends that they need to look at. Right? How do we use the data to help not only the governments, not only the city governors, but also the companies and people in the city to make better decisions. Right? For example, in India, we have the smart COVID-19 dashboards that can track end-to-end from number of people that we test in real time, all the way through the available resources of the vaccines and hospital beds, in terms of how do we align, right, in terms of the people that we see and how do we cure them. Right? That would allow the governments to make decisions a lot faster. Also many other areas too, in terms of we using smart traffic or using other services that may help the business in Thailand make a better decision. Mobility also become a key, right? We have seen smart city in the world that invest in AI machine learning to make these smart transport a lot better, also safely. For example, Cisco, we also work with San Francisco, right? As Dr. Non has mentioned. One of the key vision of San Francisco is that in about 10 years, how do we make sure that the road incident in San Francisco will become zero death casualties? Right? That's what they have the vision for, and how the technology will serve that. Right? That's second story. Digital engagement, and that's Dr. Gandhi has laid out. Right? Data. It's important, and if we can make the data become open and open as a services, not only for the governments, but also for the people and business in the smart cities. It will become better for everyone, right? Think of how we want to open a shops. We have a data in terms of the traffic of the people and things like that. It helps to make decisions. We can provide other services like the bike services. How do we construct out? How do we set up location of the station for my bikes? Right? Those are things and information. If it open as a service, data as a service, then many of the business can take advantage of. Right? IoT, right? It's also become a source of data to put into the sensor everywhere. Right? For example, in Netherlands, what we done, I think I also have a slide in Netherlands. What we done is that we put in the sensor in our equipment to connect with all the fiber links in the city, and then we can track in terms of the vibration of the road when people pass by, and with that degree of vibrations, we understand what the traffic on the road itself. So that with all this information that we can gather in, it can help the city to plan how they want to reroute the traffic better. Because the problem that they want to try to solve is that if they use like Google Navigator, sometimes the statistics lead to the wrong decision to bring the car into residential area. That we don't have quite the construction for the road as a small road, or might not be a strong road enough to carry too much traffic into the same road and also create pollution. Right? So all this information will help the government, help the city to make smarter decisions on the traffic routes in the city to save residential area roads and pollution. The findings, right, from what we work with many cities around the world, is that there are many things that they want to do, right, from foundations requirement until the aspirations on what they wanted to do. Right? As Dr. Non laid out, right, the planning must be there, right? Working together between private-public partnership for the people is important. What people want might not be the same as what people need. Right? So this is maybe the first thing that we need to understand in terms of what we wanted to do for our smart cities. What our roadmap for the next 30 years in terms of what we need to implement first to benefit of the people and services in the city itself. We have seen this. Another sample, right, as we use the data platform, is that we could install, for example, if we want to promote tourists, we could install video conferencing into a tourist area, right? And then we can also install video endpoints across the world that allow the people across the world can see how Thai people live in the city. How do we enjoy the tourists in the city, right? That's something that help promote, because people help promote people. But if you look at all these two initiatives between the smart road and also the portal to the world itself, these are silos. Right? The problem is a silo approach. Even though we successfully work with the customer, but at the end it's still silo technologies. They think of fixing one thing and doing one thing only, and then how do we integrate all the data together? It's become a challenge. Right? As Dr. Non laid out, right? It's important to work at the data first. How do we make the data become value? The fragmented approach that we've seen from maybe I want smart lighting, smart poles, smart parking, smart environment, etc. Right? Those are good initiative areas, right? From we talk about foundational until aspiration. These are good things that we wanted to do, right? But then how do we look at the whole approach? Because single technologies cannot fit into everything. Right? There's a lot of technologies today that have their own unique use cases. Right? So for example, if you want to lay down the networks for the smart cities, we cannot just say, oh, we're going to use 5G, or we're going to use fiber optics, or we're going to use wireless LAN, etc. We must plan from day one in terms of what are the connectivities that of the technology we wanted to use today. Right? It cannot just be one. Like for example, today we might use fiber optic Ethernet for smart cameras, do analytics, smart traffic. Right? But then how do we answer of we have trains in Bangkok, and trains are moving piece, right? We might have speed trains in the future that running through Thailand, right? Some of the specialist wireless technology, for example, some wireless mesh technologies can send data in a longer range. For example, the technology of what we call fluid mesh. What they can do is if we send from point to point, we could send up to 10 kilometers away, right? And then if you want to connect to a moving objects, they could connect to a moving objects that can run as fast as 400 kilometers per second without packet loss. Right? So each of the technology have their own unique use cases. For example, the wireless mesh or fluid mesh might be suitable for large area, terminal airports, some large warehouse or high-speed trains, for example. But it might not match in other use cases that the city might need. So we need to look at the available technologies today and then look at what available. Another example is Wi-Sun. Right? Wi-Sun is more of the network for utility. Right? As we adopt technology, for example, we have smart grid in Pattaya. That's used Cisco Wi-Sun technologies to deliver smart meters in Pattaya area. Right? That's another use cases of the technology, but they cannot use single technologies to answer all the fundamental to aspirations needs that we want the city to grow to. So that planning of multiple networks become one is important. Also, right, we talk about a lot of 5G, right, in terms of the 5G. So with the integration between the networks are so important. If you look at the 5G technologies deeper, right, they do not only provide connectivities and low latency, they also have what we call unified policy that allow the 5G to integrate with other networks and be able to manage and maintain security and policy all together. If we talk, for example, from the Cisco technology ourselves, the 5G as a service from Cisco, we use integration to what we call ICE, Identity Service Engine. ICE is what we use for the wireless and WLAN access of the devices coming to the office, coming to the warehouse. With the 5G together, integration with the ICE, then the clients from the 5Gs can also integrate and being authenticate and authorization to access the network and the data center at the same time. So that's a sample. When we think of the technologies, make sure that when we laid out multiple connectivity types in the cities, they all can be integrated in day one. Right? Otherwise, it's going to be challenging in terms of how we want to manage. Right? Everyone knows the iceberg picture, right? What we see is on top, nice and beautiful. Right? What we don't see is actually the bottoms down into the water itself. There's a lot of cost, the risk, and security need to concern with. From implementation around the world, right? From what we've seen that people trying out on the concept of the smart cities, they have many projects that, hey, I want to enable smart lighting, I want to enable smart camera, I want to provide public Wi-Fi, I want to provide smart traffic. Most of them become a silo projects, and that is challenging in terms of how do we manage and interoperate, because the data is a value. Right? How do you get the data of energy consumption? How do you get the data from public safety? How you get the data from many other things that help not only the government, but business living in the city to be able to consume and make their business easier, right? So the sharing data is important, but with the sharing of the data, it's become risk in terms of, and how do we, if we don't have all the networks that become working together as one, then we may have challenge in terms of cybersecurity issue, right? Once the cybersecurity comes in one network, it can split out to other networks without proper planning from day one. I'm not going to say that we use Cisco for all of it, but the technology is available today. right? In terms of have a single policies, single management platforms, single software defined to connect multiple types of network into one, right? To make sure that we can manage and operate and have visibility in experience of the user as well as the cybersecurity in one. Right. In this sample, from Cisco, we call Cisco DNA Center as a software-defined network, good control, fiber, Ethernet, wireless LANs, fluid mesh, for example, cellular network, LoRaWANs, Wi-Sans mesh, and V2I and V2V, right, in the future itself. And then with that, sharing the data, right, it's important to be able to apply many of the applications or use case that we want to use it in the city, right? So make sure that our infrastructure is ready. We have multiple types of the connectivities that allow multiple uses of applications itself. Right. Get that through. Some samples, right? Dr. Anon also mentioned of Songdo. It's true, right? Songdo is a city of technologies. There's a lot of technologies, but they don't design for the people live. But there's a lot of things that they thought of, right? Doing a lot of things in terms of, hey, we allow this resident to make video calls. We allow the student to attend remotely, right? So even though they provide good technologies, but not many of people using it. Belmont Smart City, Arizona, they use the public Wi-Fi, right, for the self-driving cars, high-speed manufacturing, etc. That's where they have it in Arizona, USA. Some sample from Sidewalk Toronto, they ban private cars, right, in the area itself, the sidewalk at the waterfront. Only automated cars are available, right? So these are another towns that they thought of. India, right? Integrates transit network and logistic hubs, right? That's something that they use it as use cases for the smart cities. As Dr. Gandhi and Dr. Non pointed out often in their messaging, in terms of the data market is important. I think I also mentioned multiple times as well too. Data supplies, right, from all the sensors, all the business, the governments, right, and provide the city data exchange for us to get the data, become an open platform is important. Some sample from the New York link, they use the, I think we all, most of us probably born in the era of phone booths. We use phone booths in the past. The New York also used to have a lot of phone booths too. When you watch a movie in New York, you see a movie that using phone booths. Now they all change, right? They're moving the phone booth out and put into the good use of using the kiosks, smart kiosks to provide many other things, right? Tablets, Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, and maps, directions, and things like that as the New York services, the data services for tourists and the residents. Exactly same thing, right? You see number one on the right-hand side there, PPPPP, right? The 4 Ps. As Dr. Non pointed out, right? It's about private and public partnership together for the people. I think it's very aligned in terms of where we want to do. It's for the people and for the citizens that we built the smart city for. Right? So all the use cases that we implement has to be well thought out in terms of what we need for the city. We might not be the same as other cities around the world, right? As the Bangkok or Greater Bangkok, but we are who we are, and we know what we need, right? But in terms of the public and private need to work together in terms of building the right infrastructure, whether it's going to be the network infrastructure, the security, the data center, the open platform for services and data. All those things has to be there from day one and keep enhancing it. So that all the use cases can be leveraged as single platforms and the data can be shared together a lot easier. Right. And from this, I think it's about the experience. We at Cisco, right, we are willing to be part of all the information sharings and anything that we can do, right, to help us drive smart city agenda in Thailand. We are more than happy to participate. We also have what we call CVD, Cisco Validated Design. Right? These are the architecture designs that we have put in from our experience around the world in terms of if you want to build network for smart cities, what it should look like, what we need to consider. Right? It's a foundation design that we can use as the templates and then adopt it and then adjust it to what we need in each of the cities around Thailand. Right? Different city might require different things. Right? From here, you can see the connectivities, cybersecurity for from the wireless, the fiber, the cellular and 5G and wireless mesh and wireless and things like that. Right? They are connected together as one. Also the reference, if you're interested to learn more in terms of what information do we have, what can we share. Right? We have the information there on our website. These are the links that you can go to and look at more in terms of the technologies and also that CVD, right? The design architecture that we have for the smart cities. Right? With that, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Pipat, for giving us the time to share information.
Thank you, Mr. Thamiwat from Cisco Systems. And this is the first time to me also that I can see the technology for data service and management for smart city. Look very complicated. And for the next speaker, I would like to introduce Associate Professor Dr. Yosapong Laonuan. He is a lecturer from Faculty of Engineering. He also an assistant to the president, MUTT president for sustainability. He also head of Research Center, Mobility, Vehicle Technology Research Center, and Institute for Scientific and Technological Research and Service, MUTT. His research interests include both policy and technical research on electric and hybrid vehicle, battery, and also the energy efficiency, renewable energy vehicle. And for today, Associate Professor Yosapong will deliver his presentation on the technology for smart e-mobility. Please welcome Professor Yosapong.
Hi, thank you, Professor Pipat. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will start to share my slide here.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Can you see my slide?
Not yet.
Is it coming?
Not yet.
Let me try again.
Please try again.
Right. Can you see it?
Okay, now I can see your slide.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction about myself. Today I'm very glad to give the some overview about the technologies for the smart e-mobilities. I think people already mentions about the challenge on what we have here today in Thailand and in ASEAN, the air pollution issue and how we're going to combat with the climate change. So for transport sector, one thing that I would like to focus here today is about the electric mobilities, which is, I think, that will be helping to reduce the effect of the air pollutions, especially in the big city that you have a lot, you are using a lot of a passenger car, or and also the to helping to improve the efficiency of using the vehicles, and that will be reducing the climate change. So when we're talking about what is the sustainable mobilities, that's two words that we are talking here. I think the word, when we are talking about sustainabilities, I think it's quite general that people will talking about 3P, which is obviously you need to think about the environment, the first P, which is that could relate that with the environment. A second P is people, right? So we're talking about that related with the people or societies on how can we bring the better equalities. And the third P is about possibility, right? So if we could balance in these three P, so that will be hopefully we could achieve the sustainability here. And also in the transport sector, the simple approach is three things. That is, you probably try to avoid or reduce the transport. So as we hear today, everywhere is probably at homes or at work. You don't need to traveling to. Normally, you have to come to listen to this kind of presentation. So you can stay whatever you wanted, and you can still learn and study online. That will be helping to reduce the carbons from the transport sector. And then if you cannot, you still need to travel. So probably the best is to use in the public transport. If you could, if you could have a better infrastructure, so that will make your travel a bit more efficiency. And the last one, if you have to use, you might not have some convenience to use the public transport. Probably you have to use your own passenger vehicle. So the best thing is to use the most efficient vehicle. So to improve the vehicle efficiency, electric vehicle is one of the promising technologies that might be probably will be coming into the next decade. And when we're talking about what is the next generation mobilities, actually people or many OEMs that talking about the 4 words. Some people call KES, some people call S. I'll call KES here. So when we're talking about next generation KES, C, the first C is about the connected vehicles. So the vehicle can be communicate or connected with with other car, or can be communicate with the infrastructure, right? And you can see the A is stand for the autonomous vehicle. So you can probably you heard more that the vehicle can be almost self-driving. So you just sit relaxed in the passenger driver seat. But there are a point that they will be fully autonomous. So vehicle will be automatically driving without the driver. And another one is S, is about shared mobility. So basically they allow you to share your vehicles more and more. You see this kind of business like in other sector, like if you heard of Airbnb, that you can share your own apartments or your house with the people, right? It's the same with vehicle. And last one is what I like to focus a lot today. It's about electric vehicle. So basically, if you could at some point that you can this vehicle using without the engines, probably it's called battery electric vehicles, and I'll tell you more about this one. So in this in this one here, is I think people in the OEMs, car companies, and industry, they have been accepted that this word case will be a next generation of vehicles. So and probably people would be calling like a smart vehicle or smart car in the future. So electric vehicle would be something like if you compare with the mobile phones, it's thinking about electric vehicle as a last 20 years ago when you start using the mobile phone, right? From the and then when what we have here today, we have like what we call a smartphone, which is basically it's not just a phone, right? It's a device that you can use it as as a small computer and can use it. So it's something very similar to a car in the next 10 years. That at the moment we might be talking a lot about electric vehicle, but I think in the next 5 to 10 years, the vehicle will be like more like a smart car as a next generation vehicle. Let me give some brief about the technology about electric vehicles. When we're talking about what is the electric vehicles, you could classify in terms of the a vehicle that have a motor, so you can be including hybrid, which basically you have engines and the motor, but the main power source still you are using fuels, gasoline. And I think we're familiar with the hybrids in the last 10 years, 20 years. But then when the technology improves, the battery improves more, so you probably could charging the battery from the outside, right? So in this type of plug-in hybrid, it could be you still, using the engine as a main driving, or maybe some of technology they're using a motor as a main driving, and the engine is something like a generator. That would be counted as a PHEV, a plug-in hybrid. And the third one is people who call a battery electric vehicle. But in some country, when you're talking about electric vehicle, EV, it means this battery electric vehicles, right? So basically, you have no engine at all, just the motor and the battery. You can see that you probably rely much on the energy from the battery. So you can see that in the figure, the size of the battery is very, very large, right? And the last one is we call fuel cell electric vehicles. That basically you're using motor to drive the vehicle, but the electricity that generated from the fuel cell stack, which is basically you use the hydrogens to supply into the fuel cell, and that fuel cell could be changed, have the chemical reaction that changing the hydrogens into the electricity, and this for technology people you can call it as electric vehicle. So people call XEV, or maybe in some country people normally maybe call this PHEV and battery EV as a plug-in EV, because they can plug in. But there's a new trend that people are talking about, a zero emission vehicle. That means basically you're not producing the you no longer have the engines, so you basically no longer have the exhaust from the tailpipe, basically from the vehicle itself. So sometimes we call set EV, right? And if I compare this, probably as I already mentioned, that the battery EVs, you have the source of energy is from charging electricity from the outside, basically. And for the PHEV, you're using both you can charge electricity, and at the same time you can you have to use the fuel for your engines, right? Anyway, I'd like to show that the focus on the right hand side when you are comparing the performance between internal combustion engine and battery EVs. So you can see that the battery EVs at the low speed, at the idling speed for the engines, you basically you can have really high torque, while the engine you could not have a torque at all. So that's why the engines need to have some of the gear or the transmission that try to convert the higher torque at the lower speed, right? But in case of when you are using the motor, you don't need to have any gear. So basically that means you will have less components. And if I show you this one, is basically the schematic diagram of the electric vehicles on the battery electric vehicles. You no longer have the engine, right? And you might probably have some gearbox, which is just maybe one step or two step of the gearbox, and you probably have the motor controller. You still have the radiator. You probably, because of this electronic system, they have generate some heat. So you need to have some cooling system that you can control the temperature of the electronic system and also the battery. So one of the main components is the battery, and normally people call as a high voltage battery because the battery you've been using in the internal combustion engine, mostly they are low voltage battery. And of course, you can charging the vehicle. You could charge by, from the charging point of view, you can charge as the AC, and then from that AC, there will be convert into a DC. So you need to have onboard charger on that, and also you can also do using the DC charging, right, directly to the battery. I'd like to show you here, this one is a good example of how fast of the battery EV have been developed. So you can see that in 2013, this model is a BMW i3, which is that the size of the battery or capacity of battery is 22 kilowatt hour. So 22 kilowatt hour represents how much you can, how your vehicle have been traveling by one charge. As you can see with the that's NEDC is a new European driving cycle standards. Basically, it's a driving standard for testing. So you probably would be driving about with one charge you can drive about 190 kilometers. But as you see today in 2019, the vehicle is the same size. The difference is that the battery capacity is become 42 kilowatt hours, right? So basically double the size of in 2013, right? Basically, it's just about 7 years, and that double the size of the battery, and of course that will be almost double the driving range of the EV. And as you see, when they start to introduce electric vehicle, what people worry is about driving range. People say they have range anxiety, when you're driving it, and then if I have to drive something more than 100 kilometers, you start worrying because you may not be to come back, after that. But with the technology, you can drive much faster with the battery, which is much smaller. Or even it's the same size, it could be a bigger capacity and can be driving. And when you're talking about EVs, I think everyone probably knows Tesla company. Tesla now that they will planning to have a car that is cost 25,000, and that car can traveling at least 300 to 400 kilometers, and they even say that the battery would be part of their body of vehicles, and even there's a lot of talk about that the cobalt would be quite expensive and difficult to find, so they developed the battery without cobalt free, for example. So, and as you can see that probably the electric vehicle will become cheaper in the next few years, as you can see here. And one thing that is the reason that the electric vehicle become cheaper because of the if you look at this graph, you can see that the green one is the cost of the battery, right? The battery used to be in 2016. It used to be like almost 50%. Some people say 60%, even when it started. So you can see that the cost of battery is become lower and lower, and at some points in this figure here, it's about maybe 2025, which is about 4 years from here. So the price of internal combustion engine (ICE), the yellow line, would be equal to the electric vehicle, and you see the further we go in, the cost of battery will be much cheaper because of the battery price will be much lower. And as you see on the right here, that the Bloomberg predicts that in 2030 the battery price will be more than $60 per kilowatt hour. As you can see in 2010s, when I start working on electric vehicle, interested about electric vehicle, the price of the battery would be costing you like $1,200 per kilowatt hour. But today we could find something for the manufacturer around $200. So I think the price is coming down very quickly, and I think new analysis is saying that if even the battery price even much lower due to there's a lot of supplier here. And also people might be concerning about charging. I mean even your price, the car price much lower, your battery would be better improved driving range, but you still rely on the charging. The bigger you have of the battery, the longer you have to require for the battery charging. So of course the charging technology have been improved too. Even today technology, it might be if you buy the battery in the road today, it's mostly they can charge it about 50 kilowatt power, right? But there's a trend that we are talking about from 50 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt, and we'll be going to 350 kilowatt, right? So the minute here, if you see that if you are today technologies, well, I'm not sure, most of the vehicle that will be charging with 50 kilowatt, with the driving range of 400 kilometers, probably it's require about 80 minutes or about 1 hour and a half, right? But as you see, the trend is changing to high power charging, 350 kilowatt. That means for 400 kilometers, you have only charging about 12 minutes. So what that means is that in the future, if you have to traveling in about every 200 or 300 kilometers, and you have to stop along the way, and then you have to stop to buying a cup of coffee. So when you just plug in, charge it, and then you go to get a coffee, when you come back, maybe it's the queue of the coffee will be much longer than when you come back, and your vehicle already charging full, within 12 minutes. So as you see, the technology have been improved very fast. So today, actually, when I'm talking about 350 kilowatt, we have seen some of the car already have that, but it might be expensive one like Porsche that they have 350 kilowatt, but that will come into the mass production to many not expensive ones very soon, in my opinion. As you can see from the previous technologies that I show you, that improve very quickly. So I would say in the next less than 5 to 10 years, most of the vehicle will be charging with 350 kilowatt capability. Okay, and next one I'd like to show you is the autonomous vehicle. People have a dream about autonomous vehicle for a long time. It's not just happening. This figure here show in 1956, right? When they have imagined that in the future the car will be, they call the electric car, which can be autonomous driving, right? So these kind of things actually have been happening, and people start to have this what we call the standard of the autonomous vehicle. So people will be talking about if you have a fully autonomous vehicle or level 5, right? So basically, there's no driver on the seat. Right? With today's technologies, they are maybe in level 2 and 3. So we would say that partial automation or some condition automation, right? You still need a driver to be on the seat, on the driver seat, but most of the time you might not have to hold your wheel, and also your car could be basically active cruise control, and it can be going from A to B, mostly on the highway one. Right? And people they are predicting that actually the level 5s they already have for the prototypes I have been myself tested before, but however I think they still need some time to develop the system to be more safer than we have today. But the trend is that the most of the commercial vehicles could be doing up to level 2 and level 3 at the moment. So to see how fast of this kind of technologies. So if we go to and if we look a little bit more detail, how this autonomous vehicle actually working from, as I mentioned, level 1 to level 5. So basically, the function of the vehicle is that you try to moving forward, or you might have to do some side driving, some turn, or you have to have some parking. This kind of function, in each maybe you see a lot of the alphabet in here. Basically they become to level 4, level 5 is, as I mentioned, level 3 probably would be a highway, auto highway pilot, and then level 4 would be city pilot, and they will be fully autonomous up to level 5. And of course, in order to doing that, you need to have the system that's like people, they can sensing, they can do analyzing, and the system must be able to decide. You probably have using the technology like machine learning to making a decision making and to control the vehicle to go driving or brake or steering, right? So that's how the autonomous vehicle. And another one is connected vehicle. I think I mentioned a little bit earlier that the vehicle will be connected. So sometimes they call that is vehicle to X, vehicle to everything. So that means vehicle can be connected to V2V, vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to pedestrian, and even vehicle to home. I will show you the next one. Vehicle to home is more like the energy transfer, not just from the home to the vehicle, but from the vehicle back to home, or from the energy from vehicle to the grid, for example. I'll show you in the next slide. When we're talking about vehicle to home, basically it's mean, I mean, if you are talking about you are charging the vehicle from at your home, right? You are charging it. At the same time, you can discharge your battery back to the home in case of some emergency. If you have some blackout at home, and you can, if you have a system that could be receiving the energies from your car, because your car have the battery, right? So you transfer energy from your car back to the home. You doesn't worry about this kind of blackout. Or you can use it for the peak cut, or you can use it for as the energy storage too at some point, and you can use this electric vehicle as a demand optimization. And the last one I like to mention about mobility service. So as I mentioned earlier, that the vehicle will become this kind of inclusive economies. You usually challenge your expensive vehicle, and we have seen it before, right? With the kind of Airbnb that people start to share your own apartment to people who want to rent it for a short time. This is something similar, that the vehicle will be shared, will be used as a rental, and they need some platform. If you have a vehicle, you want to borrow to someone, right? It's called peer-to-peer, P2P. So basically, in many countries, now today you can do it. Even in Thailand, there's company that I'll show you later that they start as a startup company that you can leave your car into the platform and people can be borrow it, and you earn the money while they're doing that. And if you want anyone to borrow it, so you take it out from the system, and you can use it at your own car. So this kind of sharing economies will become interestingly even in the mobility itself. And so this kind of technologies, because many companies start to, they need to accelerate this kind of technology. So they start to have what we call a platform. Right? So basically, you probably would see a car that have the same platform. That means a motor or battery could be the same size. It might be not in the past that when you buy a vehicle, the engines will be quite different from each company, right? But at the moment, many companies have been getting alliance, and probably they're using the same motor and battery. Just outside the appearance or the body would be different, but inside would be the same. So that type of technology, have been, I think it's happening in a lot of, I've seen today, the mobile phones or some of electric appliance that outside look different, but inside is the same. So that is happening into electric vehicle. Or even they have some of the companies who have the body is look the same, but inside would be maybe that you have more choice at the combustion engine of a plug-in hybrid or the electric vehicle. So you never know. So when you see one of the body of the vehicle, it might be this have 3 platforms. Okay, I think I'd like to spend the last few minutes give you some example of interesting projects. Like in this one here, there's some private company who running the electric bus. They target about 500 bus, and now I think then at the moment, just last month, they already delivered 27 bus. There will be a bus running around Bangkok metropolitan areas by the company called My Mobilities. This is actually happening at my university. Before the pandemic, we have this kind of service in the university. It's demonstration projects that we develop the electric scooter sharing, and this motorcycle can use. You can take the battery out. So basically, the student can borrow can lend the electric scooter for 1 or 2 hours, and if they run out of the battery, they will be. If they run out of that, they will swap the battery at that swapping station. Right. And as I mentioned, this hub companies is the EV sharing platforms in Thailand. So if you want to leave your car with the platform, that will be easier. And there are this platform is not only the internal combustion engine vehicle, it's also including electric vehicles. So at the moment, this type of car sharing would be helping people who want to use the EV car, and they don't want to buy a car because it's quite expensive, and then people can use electric vehicles. I think this also quite interesting projects. It called Move Me. So there's a electric tuk-tuk running in Bangkok. If you've been to if you go to Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, you probably see this electric tuk-tuk running around in the area. And I think they try to expand it into some area. So quite interesting startup companies. Okay, I think this is my last slide. I'm talking a lot about technologies, but I think the important is about, it's cannot just happening by companies who develop technologies. I think they need the government to support. They need academics who doing developments and to train the people. And also, I think that the community of have to be aware of these new technologies. Probably they might have to change their behavior too. So I think this type of collaboration need to be working together, not just for one party, but everyone have to see the same figure that when we are introduced the new technologies that will be, helping to improve the air qualities and also to combat with the climate change. I think that's it for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yosapong, to deliver up-to-date information of the electric vehicle technology and also the technology advancement. And we can see that in the near future, electric vehicle will serve people in the city with various purposes, not only mobility. And for the next speaker, I would like to introduce Dr. Phupong Sakul Pipasin. He is a senior technology developer at SCG Building Material. Dr. Phupong, he has an experience in building service and building energy modeling. He joined forces with Siam Cement Group to develop the first energy plus house prototype in ASEAN in year 2013. He also worked on supporting product development in a group of energy efficiency in building and involved in some building certification project in the part of energy building for smart evaluation. Before joining Siam Cement Group, he was a lecturer at the Joint Graduate School of Energy and Environment, King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi, and also a consultant at Royal Oskonding, Netherlands. He earned a PhD in building technology from Delft University of Technology, Netherlands. And today he will present the technology for smart building. Please welcome Dr. Phupong Sakul Pipasin.
Thank you. Let me share the screen. Okay. Anyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Pipas. So I will okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Phupong from SCG. Today I will give my topic is technology for smart building. Today I will talk about some current smart building technology and some of our company products. Okay, so let's start with our company introduction. SCG or Siam Cement Group is a leading business conglomerate in ASEAN. The company was established in 1913 that followed a royal decree of His Majesty King Rama VI to produce cement. Now we have 3 business units, as you see in the slide. Cement building material business. I am in this business unit, and we have chemical business and packaging business. Also, in the right hand, last year, SCG was ranked world #1 by the JSI or Dow Jones Sustainability Index in construction materials. Okay, let me give more detail about the business unit cement building material. The cement building material business has 3 business units. The group to housing housing product and living solution also has smart building you can see here, and I will talk about this smart building later. This slide I would like to show the concept of the space we live and work today. It's changing very much. You can see from the arrow, it's changing from cost concern to environmental and to human health concerns. This is due to technology in everyday life come from digital revolution and changing working habits and the climate crisis. At the bottom, you will see of smart technology. We have a lot of smart technology, and they have been developed along with the the change of the building from automation to right size. And so what is the smart building? I took a definition from an organization which called Building Performance Institute Europe, or we call BPIE. The definition is shown in the slide. Smart building is a highly energy efficient and cover its very low energy demand to a large extent by on-site or district system different renewable energy source. A smart building does three things. The first one is stabilize and drive a faster decarbonization of the energy system through energy storage and demand side flexibility. It's also empower its user and occupant with control over the energy flow. And it recognize and react to user and occupant needs in terms of comfort, health, indoor air quality, safety, as well as operational requirements. Also, the organization BPIE has infographic as shown in the left hand. Challenge from outside, air pollution and health issue, and inefficient building service, or even ambitious decarbonization target. This affect to our lifestyle. However, with building technology, smart building technology, we can get some benefit. For example, in building, we can get a business in terms of productivity. Like when we improve ventilation, we can improve our productivity to 11%. Or we can reduce energy consumption. When using smart technology, we can save energy to 23% in office. And also the other way, we can, for example, health and comfort, we can reduce sick leave up to 35%. In money, we can attach employee or retain employee up to 81%. It's a lot. There are a lot of benefits when we use smart building technologies. This is an example of a definition of smart building technology. Next, I would like to give you an overview of smart building in terms of user views and technological fundamentals. The top, the smart building functionalities. Does the building provide functionality to delight and attract people and resolve the challenge that users typically face? There are six of the smart building functionalities: individual and collaborative productivity. A smart building should facilitate people that use the building and make they have more productivity. The second, health and well-being. Of course, a smart building should provide excellent atmosphere and health well-being environments. And the third one is about community and service. This is interesting that the smart building should do something to keep occupants have a sense of community or engage people in the building together. And the fourth one, sustainability, is about environments. And the next one, maintenance and optimization. This is about how to operate the building. And the last one, security. Of course, people should certify and feel secure in the building. To serve the functionalities, we have the technological foundation in the bottom in the slide. The technological foundations to deliver those functionality in place. We can categorize the foundation into 6 groups. The first one, digital connectivity, is about communication, digital, like 4G, 5G, or even 6G in the future. It should have reliable and have a quality of connectivity. The second, building system. This is about physical system like air conditioning system, HVAC system, lighting system, and so on. The third one is about data sharing. This is have two things. One about privacy, and another one is about the data that we can share, interchange. The fourth is about landlord integration network. How we can manage the size of the building together. And the next one is about cyber security. This is important and essential in the current day because we use a lot of digital things. This can make our data secure. And the last one is governance. This is like a strategy to make the building growth in a frame. And when we look at the outcomes of a smart building, it should be in 4 things. The first one is smart building should give inspirational user experience. The second thing, a smart building should be sustainability sustainable building, or it should be environmental friendly. The third thing is should be cost efficient, not too expensive, but not too expensive. The cost it should be reasonable. And the last one is about future-proof by design. So it should give how can I say like a blueprint for the future. Okay. The next one, I would like to give you an example of the smart building. This slide shows you the ASEW. The ASEW is an office building in Amsterdam. The building has the world highest BREEAM rating with 98%. BREEAM. What is the BREEAM? BREEAM is like maybe you may. BREEAM is like green building certification. You may heard about REA or REA of Thailand. Okay, so let's see a video to see the building introduction.
There's a new addition to the Amsterdam skyline, a landmark office building that is pushing the envelope in terms of design and sustainability. An architectural gem located in the very heart of the economic and financial center of the Netherlands, meeting the requirements of the modern-day client, offering the new office experience. The Edge, the most innovative and sustainable office building in the world. The unique design and orientation of the Edge is based on the path of the sun. The glass facade on the north side of the building bathes the workspaces in daylight, while the solar panels that are placed on the southern facade shield the workspaces from the sun and generate enough sustainable electricity to power all smartphones, laptops, and electric cars. The solar panels that cover the roof provide electricity for the aquifer thermal energy storage that generates all energy required for heating and cooling the building. The aquifer thermal energy storage consists of two 130-meter deep boreholes in combination with heat pumps. The Edge endeavors to include as much of the surrounding environment as possible in its sustainable practices. Even the temperamental Dutch weather is put to good use, including rainwater, which is collected to flush toilets and to irrigate the ecological terrace and other garden areas surrounding the property. Being one of the most innovative buildings in the world, the Edge is equipped with a custom-made state-of-the-art connected lighting system. With over 6,000 LED luminaires, the connected lighting system uses the building's lighting infrastructure for more than just illumination. Every second luminaire is equipped with a multi-sensor that measures movement, light, temperature, and infrared. Each luminaire is uniquely identified and seamlessly integrated into the IT network of the building. The connected lighting system offers exciting new opportunities to different users of the building. Comprehensive data is gathered and processed by Deloitte Data Analytics. This information is presented to the facility manager on a dashboard, which provides access to real-time and historical information about the building's usage, enabling this person to precisely monitor and manage every facet of the Edge. When an office floor is empty, all lights are automatically switched off, and ventilation is set to a minimum. As soon as someone arrives in an office space, the connected lighting system provides 300 lux illumination and adjusts the ventilation to the desired level. Employees can also act as owners and operators of a space. With a smartphone or tablet, they can set the temperature and lighting to support their individual preferences. The app also enables them to view and monitor their sustainable behavior. One can always work greener. The atrium is the breathing heart of this new and exciting business community. Secondary air from offices is transferred into this majestic open space. When it reaches the top, The air is passed over 2 thermal wheels and released out of the building. At the same time, fresh conditioned air is blown in at the ground level. The atrium makes corporate interactions more enjoyable than ever before. The Edge is ahead of its time. This unique building utilizes a combination of environmental and technological innovations to create a truly revolutionary business ecosystem. Not only good for the inhabitants, but also good for the environment.
Okay, so how about the Edge building? I see that to make a building smart, we have to involve from the beginning of the building development, from do feasibility study, design, build, operate, and even to maintain the building. And also the building is not only about energy and data and digital matter. It's also about how to make people satisfied and stay in the building together. You will see they have a very big atrium, and they have a hot deck up to 1,000 decks. Also, for the building is, of course, the building is a part or a component of the city. So the building provide interconnection to environment or outside. You see they also have EV charging and parking as well. Okay, this about the part of overview of smart building. The next one, I will talk about SCG solution in smart building. In SCG, we have two, I call a new business. I can call something like that. The first one in the left is SCG building living care consultant. They work as a consultant. They give advice to our customer, our building owner. Their service in supporting building certification like a LEED, DGNB, TREE, WELL, and WELL. And also they provide a service of energy management to optimize energy use in a building, to monitor energy usage in the building. And also they have a service in building design and consult for elderly and universal design. Another sub-business is SCG Smart Building Solution. They sell some product in energy efficiency in building, IAQ and IoT. I will next I will explain detail of the product. The first one, HVAC air scupper. This is a product from our partner Envelis. The product look like in the picture here. And we use the product to clean return air. This is a typical system. Return air come to HVAC, and we also put outside air inside to make up the air, to make up the air more cleaner, and then supply to the building. With the device, we use the device here. So a part of return air will come to HVAC air scupper, and then go to HVAC. So air just go to HVAC will be cleaner, so we can reduce amount of outdoor air here. you see we can change the position of valve. So with this action we can save energy. It said that we can reduce HVAC energy cost by 20 to 30%. The next one is IoT sensing thermostat. This is look like a simple thermostat to control switch on and switch off air conditioner in the building. The key feature of the device is use 6B. So the 6B is mesh topology, so the network is more reliable, and we don't need to use Wi-Fi of the building. It has a quick installation. Another interesting point is that with our customer, we see that it can save energy consumption a lot when we use it in a public area where people are in sometime in the space like a classroom. In the classroom, we may see that when people when teacher or student come to the room, when they study and finish the course, they go out of the room, and sometimes no people turn off air conditioning or lighting. This saves a huge amount of energy. From our customer, we see that they can save energy up to 40%. It's really a lot. And the next one is by ionization purifier. This also from our partner called Plasma Air. The product look like in the picture here. The device generates ion to deactivate virus in the air or disease or other disease in the air. So it can make air clean. And also this device is UL299H validated for zero ozone emission. So we can guarantee that the device have no ozone emission. And also when we look at the table in the left hand, we compare plasma air or bipolar ionization with other technology. In overall, it's better than the other. You see, it's give a good indication here in terms of cost and performance. And the last one, we have a wide coverage wireless monitoring system. This from our partner, we call SETA. It is a sensor. You see, they have many kinds of sensor from sound, vibration, water, liquid, light, and so on. The sensor use a network, use I call LP WAN or a low power WAN. This is the device is in the group like LoRa, Sigfox, and also NB IoT. This is have advantage, which is use mesh topology, but LoRa, as I understand, LoRa and Sigfox use another topology. So this device give a better reliable, and also it's use low power to operate. Okay, that's all for my presentation, and thank you for your attention. All question welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Dr. Popong Sakul-Vipasin, and we can see from your slide that there are a number of technology building Europe technology, lighting technology, and air conditioning technology that make the building to be smarter and provide better well-being for occupants. And in the future, the building will not only the energy consumer, but it will be the power producer also. And for the next, actually the last speaker in our section is Mr. Prapon Thammasataya. He is a product manager from Delta Electronics Thailand. He will present on the topic of smart energy, or known as a smart grid, and he will present also about the energy infrastructure, include renewable energy product, electric vehicle charging solution, and also energy thermal storage. Please welcome Mr. Prapon for the presentation. คุณประพลครับ please turn on your microphone.
โอเคครับสวัสดีครับ Good afternoon everyone ครับ Can you hear me?
We hear you well.
Oh, okay ครับ So I can start about the present today. Yeah. Okay. I hope you all can see my presentation. Yeah. As the previous speaker, they already talk about the smart building, smart mobility, and I think the energy is also one of the key of the success to be the smart city. Here, before we going to talk about the smart energy, I would like to introduce my company. The Delta Electronics is the world leading of the power supply. We have been more than 50 years in the industry, and we are the world leading of the power electronic, network telecom, EV charging solution and component, and also renewable energy. Last year, we have hit the revenue $9.6 billion for the worldwide. We have the worldwide facility in the USA, in EU, and Asia Pacific. And especially in Thailand, we have over 10,000 people working in the Delta Thailand. And we have revenue about $2 billion last year. This is some background about the Delta. So here we start to talk about the smart energy for the smart city. The smart energy, or sometimes you can know that it's a smart grid. I would like to explain about the background of the power system. Previously, the power system is quite simple. We have the generation, we have the transmission, we have and then we distribution to the user or the distribution to the consumer. You can see in the left side, but today it's become more complicated because we not have only the power plant, but we have the renewable energy like a solar or wind. We have variety of the user as a factory building, EV charger coming, and also energy storage. What is the difference between the conventional and the smart energy? We can call that the smart grid is a real-time demand. The user can like have a more choice what the energy source they want to buy. They want to buy the renewable energy source, or what time they want to use the energy. This is the user can have a choice for the energy. And some user they also not only the consumer, but they also generate the power and sell to the grid as well. That's called we call the prosumer. We call that user is the prosumer. So the grid is become more important and need a small smart grid as well. And the topic we talk about today, we will talk about the PV solar system, the EV charging solution, and energy storage, and also energy management. This is the thing we are talking in detail today. First, we're starting with the charging solution. The charging solution, majorly we have two kinds of the charging. One is a AC charger. This used for the like a plug-in hybrid or the EV car, and another one is the DC charger. This is mainly for the pure electric vehicle. Only few plug-in hybrid can use for DC charger. So this is some basically to understand what kind of the charger available in the market. Once the EV charger become booming, and so many concerned people have to think about. For example, the EV driver, they concerned about where is the charging station and what is the distance they can drive it. On the operator side, operator side also think about how many stations they want to have and where is the location of charging station, how about the investment cost and the return. And the other side is utility. Utility need to prepare as well, because every EV owner charging in the same time, 1,000 or 10,000 cars charge in the same time, they also have prepared the power reserve. This is many party have to prepare and looking in the future what they are facing. Here is some information then that can answer for the previous slide. Majorly today the EV car owner, they are 60% they are charging their car at the home in the night time. They're charging their car in the residence, because in the night time everyone is take a rest and car is not used, so they're charging the car in the night time. But however, 50 to 35% they are charging in the commercial side. It's like a office building, it's like a shopping mall, or like a workplace. This one they're charging in the daytime when they are working. And another 5 to 10% is the public charging. It's like a gas station or parking station or the rest area of the interstate highway, something like that. This is the you can see what kind of charging available right now. We have a single phase AC charger, 7 kilowatt. We have the 3-phase the AC charger. The AC charger is quite take a long time. When you are charging to the EV car, it almost take around 4 to 6 hours for full charging. So this is used for like a residential for the office. And so we have another high power charging. We call the DC charging. This is take only around 15 to 30 minutes for full capacity of the EV car. We have like a 25, 50 kilowatt, 150 or 300 kilowatt. That for EV, that for the e-bus. Next one is energy storage. The energy storage is some like additional on your power system. Currently, you buy the power from the utility, and you have the own cell, like a PV rooftop. You have your consumption about the EV charger. The energy storage will become the additional system. Majorly, they have two major component. One is the power conversion system, and another one is the battery storage. The power conversion system, we so-called the PCS, the function is convert the power from the battery is the DC power, convert to the AC and synchronize to the grid. And in the same time, they convert the AC power to the DC power and charging to the battery. Sometimes we call the bidirectional inverter. And another component is the battery. Now, most famous in the market is it have like a lithium battery, and they have a few lithium battery like a lithium-ion battery or lithium phosphate. This the configuration we assembly the battery from the battery cell, and then we come to battery module, and then we come to battery rack, and also in the final, for the big one, we go to the battery container. The application of the battery storage is the famous application is like a load shifting. Sometimes you have the oversupply from the utility, oversupply from the solar loop. You can store that energy and then supply into the nighttime or supply your peak load, something like that. And recently, some regulation and some demand of the market, like a RE 100, energy storage will help you fulfill your capacity as well. The Delta Grid, this is energy management software. Now you also have many energy products like a PV rooftop, you have a battery storage, you have the EV charger, but how you manage those devices is working well and optimize your cost. The answer is the energy management software we call the Delta Grid. This one of example. On this side, we have the charging station, we have the PV rooftop, and also the energy storage in the same area. This may be the rest area, the gas station, or whatever. So on the top of the system, we have the Delta Grid to manage what time you need to charge the battery, what time you need to discharge, or what time you need to use the power from the grid, or what time you need power from the solar loop. This decision, you can let the software decide for you. For example, this one is the display or user interface that you can see how much the power you buy from the grid, how much you power your own generation, how much you consume the power, how much the battery you have. You can see everything on your screen. And this one is also some example of the Delta Grid as well. And here you can see even how much the building using the power, and also you can see the transaction of the charging station as well, because those devices come from Delta, so we can integrate all devices and display here we can monitor and control by energy software management. Another one is some success case. Here we have a megawatt energy storage already complete in many projects. For example, in Taiwan, we have 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt, or even 5 megawatt storage. The application is variety. Sometimes they use in the like a solar farm for PV smoothing. Some side they use for the pre-shelving or the backup. You can see the on the real case at the picture. Here is in Japan. Japan, we also have our own solar farm. We install the battery storage for the PV smoothing application, and we have some storage for the commercial or industrial as well. And also some success case is the this one, for example, in Japan, we have a charging station for the public. This is a real case, or let the people charging in the commercial already. In this side, we have the charging station, we have the battery storage, we have the PV rooftop. Those devices managed by the Delta Energy Management software. Or another side is we have the battery storage. You can see the black container over there. You can see the PCS cabinet. This one we have the PV as well. So from the PV, sometimes we have oversupply, so we can store it and use for the load. And some interesting, this station is provide power for charging the e-bicycle, the e-scooter in Taiwan. So this is some example of how we make the energy to be the smart energy in the future. So this is all my presentation about the smart energy for the smart city.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Papon from Delta. And from this section, this afternoon, we already see a number of technology from building sector, from transportation sector, and also energy sector that used to serve the development of a smart city. It seems that many technology now are already available, but to build a really smart city, we have to consider many other aspects and issues. For example, for the social, for economic, and also how to use the technology to improve the quality of life of people in the city. And before the ending of this section, I would like to thank our speaker staff from Dr. Non Akara Pasarpun, who stay with us throughout the forum session. Also, I would like to thank also Dr. Kandi Liao Pairot from Future Tail Lab, Magnolia, and Mr. Taviwat Jantara Seno from Cisco System, Dr. Yosapong Laonwan from King Mongkut University of Technology, Dr. Pokpong Sakul Pipaksin from Siam Cement Group, and for the last speaker, Mr. Papon Thammas Sataya from Delta Company. And thank you for all speakers again, and hope to see you all next year. Okay, for the next forum. And this time, I would like to return our floor to the organizer in Pharma Market. Thank you very much for today. สวัสดีครับ
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 Hello, everyone. My name is Pran, and I will be your MC for today. I would like to welcome everyone to the International Renewable Thank you very much to all the speakers and moderators for sharing knowledge and your expertise. And of course, also thank you to the audience for your participation. Before we end the session today, I would like to invite everyone to visit the virtual marketplace. This will be where our exhibitors, including some of the world's leading brands, showcase their latest technologies, innovations, solutions, and services in renewable energy, energy efficiency, environmental protection, electric vehicles, and smart pumps and valves. Only these 3 days, 14 to 16 of October, that you will be able to contact the exhibitor by using chat and call function that we provided, or even set the meeting with them. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you next year during 14 to 16 of September 2022 at the new venue, Queen Sirikit National Convention Center, Bangkok, Thailand. Please stay safe and healthy, everyone. Goodbye. ขอบคุณค่ะ
ปัจจุบันเนี่ยขนาดโรงงานที่เราทำเรียกว่า Pilot Plant เนี่ยมีกำลังผลิตประมาณ30เมกะวัตต์อาวแล้วก็สามารถสเกลอัพขึ้นไปถึงระดับ100เมกะวัตต์อาวนะครับเรามีความมั่นใจครับว่าถ้าตลาดมันพัฒนาขึ้นไปตามเทคโนโลยีที่มีเนี่ยเราจะสามารถเข้าถึงการผลิตไม่ว่าจะเป็น30เมกะวัตต์ในปัจจุบัน100เมกะวัตต์และรวมไปถึงกิกะวัตต์อาวที่เรากำลังจะมาถึงครับเราพร้อมแล้วที่จะนำ Product นี้ไปสู่มือของลูกค้าที่จะนำประยุกต์แบตเตอรี่ของเราไปใช้งานในโลกพลังงานแห่งอนาคตที่เราเชื่อมั่น
Installing and maintaining a PV system is generally a safe, secure process. But like the cars we drive, some PV systems have more safety features than others. To protect your technicians and installers, SolarEdge employs some of the world's strictest safety standards. Our integrated Safe DC technology automatically de-energizes DC cables to a touch-safe 1 volt whenever the inverter is turned off. This complies with the strictest international standards protecting PV professionals, firefighters, and assets. Inverter-embedded arc detection, installed in hundreds of thousands of monitored systems all over the world, accurately identifies specified arcs and shuts down the inverter to prevent fires. Our optional auto reconnect feature allows for continued safe production until the issue is resolved. And safety meets convenience with our module-level monitoring and remote troubleshooting, which eliminate diagnostic work at dangerous heights. Best of all, SolarEdge safety is built into the system. No additional components or installation is required. Safe DC, arc prevention, module-level monitoring, and secure battery operation. That's how SolarEdge protects your team and your customers' investment.
We are seeing growing momentum around the world among governments, private business, and individuals towards carbon neutrality and net zero. We all want to leave a cleaner planet for our future generations, and hence we must act now. SCG is strongly committed towards sustainability. Our EV solution platform will drive and accelerate the speedier conversion towards smart and clean mobility.
EV Solution Platform is a one-stop service under the Smart Clean Mobility concept that allows partners to run their business worry-free at an affordable cost. The platform covers 3 areas: focusing on finished product with battery safety as the priority. Local production, for example, EV bus semi-knockdown unit assembly line and electric vehicle conversion are manufactured domestically. Maintenance and spare parts service. Charging station. Logistics operation service. And IT platform development. For a seamless connection between service and solution, making users more convenient and confident when transitioning into electric vehicles. Customized business models from rental service, sales package, to logistics provider service for products or employees, with vehicle incident insurance type 1 and battery product liability insurance. Our one-stop service creates an EV ecosystem that offers worry-free solutions at an affordable cost for our partners. It is also environmentally friendly as electric vehicles emit less carbon dioxide and PM 2.5, resulting in a better quality of life.
I would like to invite all our partners and stakeholders to join us in this exciting journey. We're passionate towards delivering smart, clean mobility to our customers. We will do this, we will make this happen by engaging with all of you in a spirit of trust. And most importantly, we will grow together.
SCG International, trusted international business partner.
electricity never ceases to flow. Electricity is everywhere. Providing reliable electrical energy for our country is the main mission of the Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand, or EGAT. No matter how high or how deep we have to go, EGAT will bring electricity for the sake of the country and the Thai people. Under the vision, Innovate Power Solutions for a Better Life, EGAT generates electricity with reasonable fuel management. This creates a balance between stability, price, and environmental care. Additionally, EGAT purchases electricity from independent power producers, small power producers, and from neighbouring countries. Electricity is transmitted via the EGAT power transmission grid that stretches across the country to electricity distributors to meet the demand of each sector. EGAT also sells electricity to neighbouring countries to create power system stability for the region. EGAT aims to increase the organisation's capability through research and innovative development of electricity generation. To support future needs, electricity generation is conducted with a hybrid system. In addition, the Battery Energy Storage System, or BESS, that supports grid modernization also allows EGAT to access the international renewable energy market. The National Control Centre, or NCC, and the Renewable Energy Control Centre help manage renewable energy effectively. Security of the electricity system is prioritised for both the present and future needs of renewable energy, in accordance with the government's policy and power development plan. EGAT uses its organisational assets to conduct electrical industry businesses. And undertakes investments that help strengthen the power system. EGAT Innovation Holding Company Limited was established to efficiently conduct business relating to electrical innovation. EGAT helps create a high-quality society by sharing knowledge with the community. For a sustainable community. Walks side by side with the Thai people. And protects the environment with consciousness and technology. EGAT operates under good governance principles and core values. The night sky is charming. Yet it emphasises the importance of electricity. EGAT promises that Thailand's electricity system will always be secure, stable and reliable. EGAT has driven itself into a century of innovation, generating sustainable and eco-friendly electricity. EGAT, power for Thai happiness.
Electricity does not only refer to light from a bulb, but it also implies to hope, happiness, and good quality of life, brightening up all hearts of customers. Therefore, the emerging of electricity generation in Thailand has evidently changed the people's lifestyles. In 1884 to 1960, initial stage of power supply in Thailand and PEA establishments. During the reign of King Chulalongkorn, King Rama V, electricity was introduced to Thailand in 1884 by Field Marshal Japhraya Surasak Montri Cherm Sang Chuto when holding the title of Jamun Waiwaranat. Provincial Electricity Affairs was inaugurated after the establishment of Electricity Section under Public Health Department, the Ministry of Interior. A power plant was later constructed in Nakhon Pathom municipality and started its operation in 1930, followed by the establishment of Provincial Electricity Organization. The power supply was expanded to provincial areas and it stimulated local development. More and more power plants were constructed in districts and provinces. Recognizing the necessity of electricity expansion and good governance, the government established Provincial Electricity Authority, PEA, on 28 September 1960. From 1960 to 1980, construction of power plants in provincial areas. At first, PEA's headquarters office was initially located on Rama 6 Road alongside Samsen Irrigation Canal and then moved to Ngam Wong Wan Road in Bang Khen District, Phra Nakhon Province. The inauguration was held on 28 September 1971. Regarding the infrastructure development in Thailand, PEA had developed electricity generation systems under the National Economic and Social Development Plan 1 and 2. The generation system was an uphill mission at that time. PEA encountered considerable difficulties, including the expenses of machine installation and operation, the electrical distribution to various locations, the procurement of electric generators, the mechanic recruitment for installation, as well as the transportation of machines, electricity utility poles and electrical wires to some rural areas at which physical labor and small vehicle were necessary. The rapid growth of electricity demand became the PEA's motivation in transmitting electricity to every household in order to improve living conditions of people throughout the country. As a result, PEA formulated a master plan for power supply development in provincial areas. In responding to the increasing electricity demand, this has continuously encouraged development of electric power transmission to Thailand's remote areas. In 1981 to 1990, electricity system quality improvement to enhance business and industrial development. Power supply became the significant part of infrastructure and had an important role for the national progress in all aspects. Thus, PEA implemented the electrical distribution system to enhance the generating capability and to support electricity expansion. Diesel engine power plants were closed due to high cost but low efficiency. Electric current was instead transmitted from Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand, EGAT. As for the people living on the island, PEA laid down submarine cables for the first time in Thailand. From Khanom Electricity Substation to Got Samui, people there had enough energy to use since then. Furthermore, PEA began energy collecting from renewable resources, including hydropower and solar energy, to generate and transmit electricity to remote locations. Some energy was sent to the PEA's commercial operation to strengthen the stability of power system. Additionally, PEA employed advanced technology and efficient machinery to improve the operational system in order to offer excellent service and satisfy all customers. In 1991 to 2000, application of high technology to reach international service standard. PEA applied high technology to raise the power transmission and distribution standards. In responding to the growing demand in businesses and industrial sectors, PEA improved power supply efficiency with a better distribution system of 115 kilovolt power station, Modern technology was employed to manage electricity distribution system. Supervisory control and data acquisition, SCADA, was adopted to automatically control electricity distribution. PEA was eventually able to carry out maintenance without power failure to increase efficiency of power distribution to industrial sector. In 2001 to 2010, organization development to international standard in energy business. The rapid progress of science and technology was the deciding factor to determine the direction of structure and mission development, as well as personnel potential development and the resource management for maximum efficiency. PEA built in every field of work in order to form learning society and foster persistent development of organization, getting ready for the international level with our modern technology for high efficiency of electric power distribution and our good service. The ISO 9002 guideline was also applied to the whole organization for quality assurance. In 2011 to 2020, a journey to digital utility. Regarding the concept of customer-centric services, PEA provides a positive customer experience with easy and quick service everywhere. The organization has changed some CSR business strategies to CSV, creating shared value and operating to satisfy stakeholders' demands in order to become a sustainable business. Aiming for an excellent organization in the electric power industry, PEA improves efficiency of every working system, fulfills expectations of customers, and manages the organization according to good governance principles. Move forward with human resource, digital technology, and innovation. Let's create shared value to society and environment with digital technology and go on a journey to digital utility. PEA.